kind of funny. Communist China is more capitalist than we are, and that's because they have these economic free zones where it's easy to make a company there. And I think if you want to prevent supply chain shutdowns, that's what we need to do. We need to bring jobs here, and I don't think it's through tariffs. I think it's through deregulation
Yeah.
and make it easy to open it. I mean, if you want to open, I love John Stossel, but he did this special where he tried to open a legitimate lemonade stand, the classic lemonade stand. In America, it takes about like 9 months to a year to make a legitimate lemonade stand because you have to do like food safety courses, permits, this and that. But in
Oh,
China, like 24 hours, 24 hours to make a lemonade stand. And so like no one's really addressing that. And like that's why I've actually never voted, which is very libertarian of me. A lot of libertarians don't vote, but uh, yeah, I think Trump is definitely better than Kamala Harris. But I think he should probably start listening to some of the libertarians and maybe start easing up on our regulations. And maybe he doesn't do it on a grand scale all across the United States, but maybe he takes some public land, sells it off, and makes like little economic free zones. So maybe like instead of saying, "Hey, New York City is now an economic free zone," maybe we sell off some of the federal land that we have and be like, "Hey, manufacturers, you can build everything you want here, and these are your conditions." So it can like kind of start from scratch, which I think would be a step in the right direction. But yeah, answer your question about like prepping. I don't think anything's going to happen in my lifetime, so I just prepare for supply chain shutdowns. And so I try to be as self reliant as possible. Um, yeah,
yeah. That's a good mindset. Me, I'm the same way. I'm most worried about like terrorist attack from within. That's all. Like terrorists just kind of shoot out a shopping mall or something like that. They might happen, but like I'm agree with you on in regards of deregulations of how to make a company, and also and how to bring those critical companies to the United States instead of relying on somebody else. And I think it was Vivek Ramaswamy. He was talking about that,
hmm
bringing chip manufacturers here in the United States instead of relying on somebody else, and just make concessions on how to do it. And I guarantee you, there's a lot of companies willing to do it, but they just need the regulations. They need the government basically stay out of their way and let them build those plants. And I think chips. What is the other one? Fertilizer that you talked about. They need to be done here instead of being
yeah,
rely on our basically our enemies, Russia and not Taiwan, but China is talking about invading Taiwan and
yeah.
expanding their territories. But it is a risk that we have to mitigate by bringing those companies back to the U.S. and make them here. And if it's something happen, we just have it here. We don't have to buy from somebody else. But I would like to talk about your book that you are uh, drafting right now. You're making your book. What is your book? It's all about.
Just my life. Um, it started off with me doing counseling and then like wanting me to write.
Mm.
And I was like, you know what, I'm like there was days where I use speech to text, so I get a lot of words in fast. And I was like, I'm doing all this stuff, so I'm like quote unquote writing, and I'm getting like sometimes 10,000 words in a day. I'm like, and some of this stuff I'm like may help other people, may empower them to talk about stuff. And so I figured I'd just turn it into a book. And like that was like December 5th of 2024. Um, and what's today's date? February 7th. I've got like over 100,000 words. And so I figured I might as well just turn it into a book. Um, so it was more about just healing for myself. And now it's definitely about that, but it's to empower other people to do the same and promote um, the therapy and just getting help. And what sparked it too is the reason I got into like hardcore counseling and was like doing it all the time was my brother committed suicide. So my brother Mike Day, he wrote Perfectly Wounded. So he wrote a book. So that's part of an inspiration too. And then obviously a lot of Navy SEALs write books, but I was in a bad spot after he committed suicide and needed help. Um, got all the help I needed, but the writing really, really helped. And yeah, so now I got 100,000 words down. I got my second draft done. Should have my third draft done the next month. The third draft is more just taking out all the names because I want to put people's names in there, and I'm not going through any kind of official channel, so I got to really be cognizant of
Mm.
places, names, and dates. Most of the dates aren't that big of a deal now because most of what Navy SEALs do is secret before you do it. After you do it,